my pleasure to introduce today Professor Rodwings, who is currently the director of the Center of Agriculture at KAUST. His first step in academia was by studying biochemistry, and he switched to genetics for his PhD. And I guess he was very captivated by it because until now he is still in the plant genomic field, and he's a worldwide renowned expert. He has an outstanding career past, showing several awards, the last one from 2016 until now as an honorary professor in Queensland's Alliance for Agriculture and Food Innovation from the University of Queensland, Brisbane in Australia, as well as last year. He had also a Regents Professor Awards from the University of Arizona. And Professor Ring is particularly interested in moving forward towards a more sustainable lifestyle. And I remember that one of our meetings, you, Professor, were pushing the entire CDA center to take the stairs and not the elevators to go to our level 5. And I think that was definitely one of the first, I don't know, good impression that you gave when you came in the CDA. So the floor is yours, and thank you for accepting our invitation today.
Thank you. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. Yeah, it's fantastic that you're putting this together. This is very exciting, and it's you know, sustainability is so important, and there's so, you know, I could talk a lot about different forms of sustainability, but I really appreciate the overview that you made, and I actually worked in the I mean, I worked on campus this week, and I went to the vegan vegetarian meals, and I think that would be really cool if we could get that going again. If that would be a consistent thing, because I'm actually trying to go vegetarian as well, but I keep getting drawn back, and I'm a big barbecue guy, so I love to barbecue. It's going to be, but I barbecue my vegetables. I've been pretty good with fish too. So anyway, okay. So I'm going to let's see, share my screen. I can share the screen now. I have access to that.
I think so. Otherwise, I can give it to you.
Yeah, no, I have it.
Yes.
I'm doing it.
Okay,
so what I'm going to do is give you just a little bit of description about the Center for Desert Agriculture, because just kind of as a background, so you have some ideas what we're thinking and our strategic plan and education and outreach, and then I'm going to move into the edible schoolyard. Okay, and all right, let's see if I can make this work. Okay, good. This is the we're turning the beacon on its side right here. So, okay, so this is we recently I came here in February last year, and Mark Tester and I worked on developing a strategic plan for the Center for Desert Agriculture. So we've submitted this now. It's been approved, and now we're an official center. And these are some of the long-term ideas that we're thinking about. So our mission is to foster and deliver innovations to make a significant impact on sustainable agriculture in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And to achieve this, we're going to study, engineer, and implement sustainable plant-based cropping systems in production and community fields and greenhouse ecosystems. All right, and then our plan is to teach and train KAUST students and others to utilize and improve our sustainable plant-based systems, and then translate basic biological and engineering discoveries from KAUST and elsewhere into practical solutions for sustainable agriculture. So the whole, you see sustainable, I guess, is our main word here. So that fits in directly with what we've been talking about. So our vision, you know, by 2030, we want to become a leader and an innovator and partner for the advancement of sustainable agriculture and food security in desert ecosystems. The CDA will lead the transformation in how of high value crops, or of how high value crops are grown and distributed throughout the kingdom. I think one idea here is that growing the crops like the cereals, wheat, barley, rice, and things like that, there's not enough water for that, but we're of the kind of the vision right now is that probably there's going to be a lot of controlled environmental agriculture in the country, because you can recycle water and so on and so forth. So more of a developing high value crops sustainably in the country. We hope to have trained scientists, leaders, and entrepreneurs in sustainable agriculture and desert systems, and have inspired the next generation of Saudi youth to embrace sustainable plant-based agriculture and environmental protection for the country. So our goals are to develop innovative solutions, empower and inspire young minds of Saudi and elsewhere. So the kind of the question we have, the statement we have here is, how can we sustainably feed our rapidly growing population, without destroying the world? So that's what we want to do. So we have objectives, develop knowledge. We're going to create a center of excellence for neo-domestication. This is a process where we're going to develop new crops that can survive in extreme environments. One example is a rice that I've been working on called Rhiza cortata that can grow in salt water. So if we can domesticate this, it's rather than using current crops that require lots of water, maybe we can take relatives of crops and domesticate them, and they already grow in extreme environments, and then make them produce the food for us. That's called neo-domestication. The other is to partner with government agencies to develop kind of experiment stations around the country to enable work in field greenhouses and algal ponds to teach best practice methods in sustainable agriculture and to deliver KAUST discoveries into the field. So the kind of idea there is that we develop sustainable systems here, and then we teach the people in the country, how to adapt our systems to produce food sustainably. One of the last things here is partner with the KAUST school and the Thual public school system to build and operate teaching greenhouse facilities based on the edible schoolyard that was established in Northern California, with the goal of sustainably producing free lunches for every K through 12 student in Thual and KAUST. And 5, this is messed up here, inspire and educate and empower and train the next generation of scientists and educators who want to sustainably feed the world. So I'm going to go through this a little bit because these kind of our education and mentoring activities. So our goals and objectives require that we train scientists and teachers and entrepreneurs who can thrive in multiple domains: directed and applied, academic and government and industry, for the greater good of the kingdom and the world. And our plan is to develop a master's program, kind of more of an applied master's program, that when the students graduate, they're going to be able to have jobs in sustainable agriculture, because you don't need a PhD for everything. So this is kind of a tentative outline, basically plant biology, microbiome biology, breeding, data analysis, controlled environmental ag, agronomy and soil science, entrepreneurship, traceability, community engagement, and directed research. So this is kind of again, a more of applied program for the master's program, but we think that this will produce people with master's degrees that can develop sustainable or apply sustainable agriculture to the country and beyond. So we have an outreach and education system, and to do this, again, we want to partner with Thule Public Schools using this edible schoolyard system. And so I essentially want to talk about this. The kind of the plan is that we're going to develop this edible schoolyard idea, and the goal here is to do it at the KAUST school and at a partner school in Thule, and develop that. And if successful, then we can work with the Ministry of the Environment, Water, and Agriculture to promote this throughout the country. Okay, so this is so what is the edible schoolyard? Okay, and this is a slide of the edible schoolyard in Brooklyn, kind of in kind of low-income neighborhoods, things like that, where essentially there's a greenhouse, and kind of the idea here is that the students are actually growing their own food and learning about plants and sustainability, and using this as a kind of a lunch program in the schools. So I'm gonna kind of back up a little bit here and explain it a little bit. So this program was started by a woman, Alice Waters, and she's a French chef, and she has a restaurant in Berkeley, California. I got my bachelor's degree and did postdoctoral work in Berkeley, California. She has a restaurant called Chez Panisse. It's a high-end restaurant. They only use fresh, local everything, and it's a wonderful place. It's you have to have money to go there, but it's still pretty cool. And it's in an area of Berkeley called the Gourmet Ghetto. So it's in a terrible part of Berkeley. It's kind of run down, but you have a really good restaurant. So she started a program called the Edible Schoolyard, and the goal is to provide a free and sustainable school lunch for all students K through 12, and buy food directly from farmers and ranchers who take care of the land and their workers, and teach students the value of nourishment, stewardship, and community. All right. So what we're thinking about is maybe trying to adapt this edible schoolyard concept in the KAUST school, and at the same time try to find a partner in Thule, and then if we can do this together and build a strong program, and because I mean, you go to Tamimi, and the fresh produce is just, I mean, there's no such thing as fresh produce, right? Until we got the the Red Sea Farms coming in and things like that. But that's it's terrible, and it's pretty depressing. So people have kind of maybe their own gardens, so on and so forth. So I'm going to click on this, and this is going to take me to another window. I don't know. Can you see this?
No, I think you have to share the other window because we are still
okay. So
on
I have to stop my share.
Yes.
And then share again, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Where do I do that? Oh, here it is, right here, I think. Okay. So I would just encourage you to browse around this. Maybe some of you have in the past. So the story, you go to the story here. Oh no, I hope this, now can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. I was scared here. So our story, we build the capacity of education programs with tools, resources, and trainings rooted in 25 years of experience. And basically it started in 1995. And Alice Waters' idea is known as the edible education. Edible education is flourishing across the country and the globe. Nearly 6,000 members in the program and their network. And today, Alice is advocating for school and meal programs that provide free, regeneratively farmed meals for every child K through 12. And they're incorporating this in California, which has 35 million people. So I think that's the size of no, that's maybe even bigger than Saudi Arabia. I don't know the numbers, but the model called school-supported agriculture supports the health and wellness of children, farmers, farm workers, and food and service workers while addressing climate change through carbon sequestering farming practices. At the heart of this work is the conviction that nutrition begins in the soil. So this is the Edible Schoolyard at Berkeley. Okay, they have a school. It's a middle school. King Middle School, and King is Martin Luther King, and has been a place where children fall in love with food and learning. Okay, so classes with vegetables, the innovation model. They're actually the Edible Schoolyard curriculum. There's a whole curriculum here that they've developed, and there's ways to learn how to do this. They family nights out, and they have a class schedule, register to attend, so on and so forth. So this is something that, again, I didn't invent any of this. I think it's a good idea. I think it's something that we should explore. And I think if we could bring this to KAUST, it would be a huge draw for faculty and families. And then we partner with the schools in Dual next door, and kind of basically build a community around sustainable agriculture. And then this probably is going to take 5 years, okay? And then after that, then people are going to say, wow, this is important. And then if we have a good model, then maybe we could introduce this to Jeddah, to Riyadh, to Al-Asa, so on and so forth. So here they have, if you go to their resource library, they have lesson plans, Respect the Garden, compost lab, bees, greenhouse lab, all sorts of things that we can, and recipes and so on and so forth. So what I would do is just, if you're interested, this is one way of going. I think there are other celebrities out there that are doing things like this. But this is, I'm from the United States, and this is a program that attracted me. And anyway, we want to try to get something like this going. So Anna Rautek, who's I see she's listening in, and I saw Mark and Gabi, and so we've actually been in conversations with the KAUST school, and they are building a new building now, and we're talking to them. We've talked to them some, but we now have some ideas about developing a greenhouse for the school, as well as a greenhouse facility for the community that would be next to the high school, and where essentially have a controlled environmental ag community garden, develop high value crops, and then also have a program for students at all levels. I think this program in Berkeley starts at the middle school, but I think we can go middle school. I think it's a good idea to even start at the K through K through 5, and then middle school and high school. And so essentially you're growing up eating fresh food, eating sustainable food, and promoting sustainable agriculture. So anyway, this is kind of really what I just wanted, I think Justine asked me to kind of present this. So this is, so we essentially submitted these ideas maybe 8 months ago, and then COVID came and things like that. But we're now back, and we're going to be pushing this. So this is going to be part of our agenda, the education outreach. So and it would be fantastic to have support from the sustainability club that you guys have organized, and maybe you can actually help us with some ideas or support, so on and so forth. And so I think that's, I think I might have one more slide, but I think that's close to my left. Can you see this?
No, you have to go back to your PowerPoint, I think, because we are still stuck on the Schoolyard project.
Okay, still stuck. Always stuck. Okay. And let me see, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that's my last slide, which is, I'm standing outside right now. I have a beautiful side of the beacon. So anyway, that's kind of just what I put together briefly, and I hope this could bring in some discussion. Any thoughts, any ideas, positive, negative, you like, you don't like?
Well, first, thank you very much for this talk and introduction of this project. I think it will be, oh, sorry. I think it will be good to definitely work together on this. Wait, am I in big? Wait, sorry, sharing my screen.
I see you now. I see you. Yes. I see just the big screen here.
Yes, but is it me in the big screen? Because I don't want to be in the big screen.
No, I see the screen with everybody's name. I think.
Okay, great.
That's the screen I'm looking at.
Okay, perfect. No, yes, I think it's very exciting. I mean, we already got a little bit in touch. I think Iman is also part of this meeting today, and she was, I think, already contacting you about that project, right? So I think we are definitely interested on trying something together. Anyone from the audience would have some questions or suggestions? I think it's also a good time. In the end, this final day is a great mix of student for sustainability, faculties, head of sustainability. I think is like our first big meeting. So I think we can maybe get some nice ideas. Yes, Iman, I see that raising hand. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for inviting Professor Rod, and we have Professor Tester with us today, and Dr. Anna. I'm so excited to be among you. One thing always, I feel like agriculture is a really challenging task for people outside of the food industry. So I have a background in material science and engineering. And when I heard the project was really great, but considering all the circumstances of like Saudi Arabia, water scarcity, I know that it sounds like sustainable, but I don't feel it's gonna be sustainable. I feel like it's gonna be a lot of energy intensive, also to feed that number of students. Maybe I see it applicable in the US with the resources. In Saudi Arabia, it's gonna be great. But I wanna hear more about what do you think gonna be the challenges facing
well,
us?
that's an excellent question, and there's a couple answers to that. So, in terms of, if we think of field crops, again, most crops require lots of water. So the CDA right now is we're looking at trying to develop new crops that require less water, fertilizer, and pesticides. And this is this neo-domestication idea. So if you could grow, rice in saltwater, for example, then you've solved a lot of problems by doing something like that. So you kind of almost don't have a limitation in terms of water, things like that. So I mean, this is a little bit, this is further down the line, but we're dependent on very few crops, and they require intense water, fertilizer, so on and so forth. So that's like that's field crops. So really, and Mark and I have kind of come to this conclusion, Mark before me, but in my opinion, I think in his as well, you would say that I think the future for sustainable ag in this country, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is really controlled environmental agriculture. And controlled environmental agriculture is essentially greenhouse agriculture. And you're providing, high value crops to the population. And this is, vegetables and greens, and that's what you got to do. And then you supplement that with grains that are grown elsewhere, like wheat and rice and barley and things like that. So, I mean, that's, it has to be a balance. But the nice thing about controlled environmental ag is that you can recycle the water, and there's, new technologies that are coming out all the time to, reduce the amount of energy to grow crops, to run greenhouses. I live in Arizona. I come from Arizona, which is also a desert environment, and I have an association with a group called a family called the Antle family. They're one of the top 5 producers of lettuce and vegetables in the country, in the United States. And what they do in their operations they're a field. They do everything in the field, but they grow 2/3 of their crop in California when the weather's good, and then they move the entire operation to Arizona in the winter because they have a really cheap supply of water, and there's no freezes and stuff like that. So they kind of move the ag system with them. Those are things that we can do, growing crops right now, and I think in outside is impossible in Jeddah, but there are places in the kingdom where you could actually grow crops in terms of the weather. But I really think large emphasis. It could be as much as 80-90% controlled environmental ag. So huge greenhouses, high value crops in major metropolitan areas, recycling the water, and bringing good, good food to the community, the population, and then training the people in the country, how to do this. It can be a good business, and it's profitable, and so I think it's a fairly easy solution. But we need to prove it and demonstrate it, and get the funding to do something like this. So I think this is why, that's why we developed the strategic plan for the CDA. I hope that answers your question. I don't know if I saw a little thumbs up. So as an engineer, engineering is that's cool that we need engineers. we need, you know, this like right now the Center for Desert Agriculture, we're putting out a job advertisement for an agricultural engineer who can really help us push this whole thing forward in KAUST, in Thual, and you know, you start small and get big.
Thank you very much for this answer, Professor. I see that Anna is raising her hand. So.
Yes, thank you. Well, I think it's a great project. I had some months ago, you know, we had a small conversation, me and Anna over text. So she introduced me to the project, and I really like the idea. I think goes along with the initial plans that we had with the community garden in a very different scale and different purpose that we had in our community. And we are growing interesting stuff here, but in the different conditions, not in the greenhouse. But I think the idea of bringing this to the schools and the power of educating, it's just something that it's something that needs to be, you know, put in emphasis. And this is a part of this process, the hands-on of children having hands-on on the material and then going to the field and growing their own things and learning by doing so. And at the same time, being educated for the importance of, you know, growing your own things with the importance of the water, the energy. I think everything it's a plus. I don't see negative points on that. On the contrary, going back to the Iman's question, and if you start thinking globally in the carbon footprint of the food, and we think about the food that we reach to Saudi Arabia, you know, all of the food is produced outside. So in terms of energy intensity, you know, it's incredible. And you know, the amount of emissions comes out from transporting food from United States to Saudi Arabia, it's crazy. So everything that promotes local food, it needs to be enhanced. And I think this is a great project. I think it's this type of project that showcase also what is sustainability. And you know, it's such a holistic word, and people sometimes have difficulty to understand how can be addressed in different areas. And this is something that, you know, it's type of these projects that we need. Going also on note on this is that I always like to bring, and we need to be aware, is the United Nations Development Goals and how these connect with all the different goals that we have to 2030. So we have 10 years to at least try to contribute to them. And I see so many points of connection when we have this type of projects. On the education side, you know, we have a SDG for no hunger. So this all contributes. So I think is an added value, full support from my side. I'm quite sure that the Students for Sustainability will be on board and helping. And thumbs up, yep, let's move forward.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you very much. I had actually a little question because like, oh no, it's okay. I thought Anna, you were still having a question, but no. Regarding the way of producing food in a sustainable way, like what I realized when we were watching like all these documentaries and like everything that we got exposed this week is that in the end, when people want to do massive production of something, I think at some point it's not sustainable anymore because we are always like having some payback or drawbacks on something that we had to make a concession to be sure that we are producing a lot, but sometimes we actually produce too much. So it will be also nice for this kind of project to not be like crazy big greenhouse with like so many different like things, and then we are actually not able to eat all of them, and that a lot will go to waste, right? I think that's something that could also be
yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean that's the market demand, you know, and it's all about cost, right? If it's gonna cost 10 times as much for a KAUST tomato versus a Tamimi tomato that's been flown in from Australia, which is you know, you have to I guess you have to almost make a choice. You have to make a choice of what you're going to eat, but it is about cost, you know. I mean. And that's tricky. So I mean, you know, I think you know, if KAUST, for example, could say, okay, everybody at KAUST gets a free lunch for the schools, I mean, I think that's a pretty good goal. And I think we could do something like that. I mean, we're not going to be talking about filling the Tamimi with food and things like that. So, I mean, I think if we could have a goal like that and build a greenhouse like that, I think that would be a way to do that. And then the same thing with our partnership with Thuwal. And really, I mean, there's a lot of poor people in Saudi Arabia, and I don't know if they're eating, getting the right dietary requirements and things like that. So, I mean, if this could help, the country in the long term, I think we can do that. And that's kind of our vision of the CDA. I mean, we're doing basic biology research, but we also have to apply it. And so we're doing our own, hardcore research, sequencing genomes and all this functional genomic stuff. But the point of the CDA is to translate these discoveries into practical solutions. So, yeah, I mean, it's like a crazy big greenhouse. I mean, I think you talked to Mark, I think he wants to cover the whole country with greenhouses. But it's a good idea. I mean, it's I think for Saudi Arabia, that's the solution, because I think that, we don't have it. There's no water here. It doesn't make sense to grow fields of wheat and rice and things like that. You're just throwing it away.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should also just consider growing like vegetables and plants that are growing here. And then, I mean, I guess you always have to maybe export a little bit, because at some point it's like the exportation or making the environment suitable for that. I mean, we have to see like how good is the ratio, as Anna was mentioning as well.
Yeah, exportation is good. I mean, any kind of field agriculture, you have to do drip irrigation. You don't want to use the pivots. The pivots waste a lot of water and stuff like that. And I mean, yeah, I personally think field agriculture in Saudi is, I guess they're going to do it, but it doesn't make sense if you want to be sustainable. Okay. I think really the greenhouse is the way to go. That's where I put my money.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
I'm not a greenhouse guy. I'm a field guy. I do rice and I suck water.
And you still put your money on greenhouse. I think that's a good insight then. Anyone else would like to comment or add something? Maybe Mark, I don't know if you want to add something to the discussion. Maybe not.
Yeah, hi, thanks. No, Rod's doing great. I just put one number so people, because Anna talked about the carbon footprint. I prefer to think about the environmental footprint. And the water, the very first question was Iman asked, is spot on. And just for a tomato in Saudi Arabia, grown in Saudi Arabia, a kilogram of tomatoes requires about 350 liters of water. And
a kilogram in the field.
Kilogram of tomatoes grown in the field in Saudi Arabia. Sorry, in the field. Yes, thanks, Rod. Yeah, and so that's 350 liters of water for 1 kilogram of tomato. That's not many tomatoes actually. And in our greenhouses, it's about 20 liters. So you can't eliminate the. Well, you could, but it doesn't become economic then. And Rod mentioned that, which is very important. But you can economically grow tomatoes in greenhouses in Saudi Arabia using just 20 liters of water. So that's a massive reduction in our footprint. And that's, I think, a good, very important point. So just to put some numbers, a tiny bit of flesh. But no,
so Mark, what was the number for a date?
Jesse and I were calculating this the other day. We're not completely confident of our calculations, but we're probably within plus minus 20%. And it looks like it's about, for one date, about 50 liters of water.
50 liters for one date.
50 liters for one date. It's unbelievable. 50. It's unbelievable. That was a big surprise to me. So
yeah, so I mean the date palms are the ajwa date supply is going to just like suck all the water. I mean, we should just reserve it all for Oswan and then all the other water for greenhouse, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good comment, though. I mean, our existence leaves a footprint, but we need to minimize our footprint and, yes, maximize the efficiency of the use of the water that we do have. And yeah, that's right. Growing Ajwa dates, a high value crop, okay, it's a lot of water for each date, but maybe the cost benefit pays off. But cost benefit for the water consumption versus the products produced in a greenhouse is huge, especially if you cool your greenhouse using seawater.
Yeah.
No, it's great, Rod. It's great you've done this week, Justine. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is great. It's exciting.
Yes, but thank you again. I guess we are about to end if nobody else has another question. But thanks a lot for joining us tonight and for all this insightful discussion and the Edible Schoolyard project that I'm sure we will be participating in.
Okay, excellent.
But thank you very much again. And thanks, Rod, a lot for joining tonight.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for asking me to join. It's a pleasure. It's really nice to see everybody. It's a good way to spend a Thursday night.
Well, that's good.
All right.
Have a nice evening, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
And bye.
Thank you. Take care.